Good evening, my local drones. This is Bio Gundam here, and I'm back again for another video. So today, me and my buddy, Young Kaiser, because he's no longer Kaiser doing it right now. Me and my buddy, Young Kaiser, today we're going to be doing a discussion about the new hit Netflix show, Cowboy Bebop. No, fuck that. We're going to do the original OG anime.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Yeah, of course. Oh my god. You know, a part of me was thinking, you know what, maybe I should actually watch that shit. And then everybody, after seeing video after video and after friends actually, you know, taking the plunge for my sake, sacrificing themselves for my sins in order to give me this knowledge about the Netflix, that sounds a whole lot of fuck that shit. So I'm not going to do any of that. So instead, we're actually going to express, you know, good taste, goodwill in the year of our Lord 2022. So.
Yeah, bring some good vibes. Now, speaking of the Netflix show that they made of this, my family watched that show a couple of episodes, and I said to them, "Oh my god, why?
Oh no!
Watch the original, please, for the love of God!" Like, oh, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, the like. I like not going to dwell on it too much, but this is what I hate about the most about just bad live action anime adaptations, which is basically most of them, is that like they okay, a bunch of, well, for lack of a better term, a bunch of normies are gonna watch this shit. They're going to be a little bit interested. Be like, okay, you know, this seems cool, and then they're gonna be like face to face. Well, more like face to ass with the bullshit that they have to deal with this content, and then they're all like, "Oh, this shit's stupid. I'm not gonna watch the original." And then the battle's lost at that point.
Yeah,
right? They've lost the plot.
Yeah, like, but why can't they just make a decent fucking live action adaptation?
Yeah, the only one that we've made in America thus far is Alita. Right?
Yeah, unironically, actually, Alita's not too bad. Like, it actually covers like the good beginning chapters of the manga and shit like that. Battle Angel Alita gets very interesting when you read the sequel manga. It expands the world really and shit. Yeah, it's got like fucking Venus and vampires and all this crazy shit and robots, and I'm like, oh god, this is fun. But we could do a manga discussion about Battle Angel Alita at some point, because Battle Angel Alita is a very interesting series. Yeah, it does talk about like existentialism and some very interesting themes, but that here and now. That's not here and now. So today we're going to be doing a discussion about the original OG anime of Cowboy Bebop, and right. So who wants to do kind of like first impressions first, and like our first thoughts on the first episode?
I mean, I guess, like, I wouldn't say first impressions, but more so, like, I guess overall impression, because I feel like this is the third or fourth time I rewatched the series from beginning to end.
I think for me this is like the third or second, but I'll do my impressions.
Sure.
So in general, anime tends to be for a more Eastern audience, like for a more Japanese audience. I think we can both agree with that. However, I think Cowboy Bebop is one of those shows that I think was more designed for a Western audience, especially because this thing didn't do very well in Japan, but it did a lot better in the West. So this is one of those animes that's more for a Western market, and I would say, now, Cowboy Bebop is quite divisive in some ways, because it doesn't feel like anime, but at the same time, it kind of is. Like, it's still, but it's the most least anime thing that anime probably has produced in a while. But I would say that, despite all that, I would say that Cowboy Bebop is a very good episodic space noir detective shoot 'em up show. Like, it's just great. Great characters, great setting and theme exploration, great backgrounds, great music. It's just got great everything. Like, it's a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 just out of quality. Like, it just has quality.
Yeah, right. So, I guess ball's in my court at this point. So, I mean, yeah, I'm basically around the same mindset here. I thought that now upon a recent rewatch, instead of being like maybe 8.5 like I had it before, I think I put it at a regular 8, just because, you know, some opportunities. Okay, fair enough, but like that's still really fucking good. And like, fact of the matter is, What you said about it not being sort of the least
anime-ish.
Yes, yeah, anime-ish. It is very interesting because
well, that anime-ish can.
It's interesting because part of the creation and appeal of Bebop is like it's actually an interesting story, the production of it. Because the story goes, long story short, is that Sunrise wanted to make a show that was able to sell basically model kits of spaceships. And
really?
They gave it to Shichiro Watanabe and the Sunrise animation team, and they were like, go ham. And Watanabe's all right, okay, we can do whatever the fuck we want. Let's make something that is actually universally loved to get as much appeal as possible. And I feel like to that effect, that kind of speaks to how less anime compared to most others anyways that the show is that it has a much more broader appeal, especially in regards to, taking in different cultures in order to further embellish the world and characters.
Yep. Now,
overall, show's great.
Yeah, the show's great. And I think what really sells it at the beginning is that first fucking episode. Because what I like about the first episode is it tells you exactly what you need to know about the characters. It tells you everything you need to know about the world very quickly right off the bat. It tells you this is a world that is... this is going to sound a little edgy, but it tells you about a world that is quite unfair. It can be a very brutal and unfair world. And... And, people make mistakes. But what I really like about the first episode is it basically showcases, kind of realistic consequences and, just how human error basically just leads to one's downfall. And it also immediately establishes who Spike is, who Spiegel is, what their relationship is, what the world is,
and Jack.
Jack. It immediately establishes who these characters are, what they're like, their relationship, and it establishes the world. It gives you a little taste of, the criminal underworld and all that shit, drugs like the red eye and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It immediately gives you all that shit right off the bat, and that's what I quite like about the show. I watched that first episode and I was, kind of hooked. Okay, I want to see what happens. What happens next?
Right. And what I'm also really impressed about the first episode is just how incredibly smartly written it is. By that I mean is that there is no fact in this first episode. It is all content. Every piece and every still shot sets the tone. It sets a mood. All these events lead to one another incredibly organically well. And just very great opportunities for character interactions and jokes. And some of the best directing, which, that's kind of what you have to do when you're opening this shit, but what a fucking opening it is. For example, there's this, the scene when the dude and his wife kind of walk into the bar and they go to the back.
Yep.
And the guy takes the red eye, and the gangsters that are after him starting attacking.
Yes.
And you see from a first-person view as he's just rushing in and mowing down these guys, just showing just the sheer brutality of it in a raw way.
It also showcases...
You just don't really see anymore.
Yeah, and it also showcases what these drugs are doing to him. Everything is in a blur to him. His hand-eye coordination is so fucking fast that he's registering movements even before he does them. Because if I remember correctly, when it comes to movements, you have this thing called inertia where there's a delay, but he doesn't have that delay anymore. Basically he doesn't have that delay. It's just instant. It's instant.
Which comes back very interestingly when he's actually properly fighting Spike, because Spike's movements, especially compared to the goons, are much more fluent. Come out much more fast, but by the time the dude realizes it, Spike's already made his move and has made contact with him. But with that lack of inertia, he isn't able to stop himself. In that you just see Spike just freaking wombo comboing him at every turn. It's communicated to you visually. It doesn't need to say a goddamn thing. The music is it's already in high gear, and you may not realize it on the first watch, but in subsequent watches, it's the kind of thing that you think about. It's oh shit, that's fucking dope.
Yeah, can I just say that the soundtrack for the most part fits every fucking scene. And especially that first episode when Spike is fighting, it's got this very kind of beat to it. It's almost like you can I don't know, it's good fight music almost. It's matching his movements in a way and his fighting style.
I think the track is actually called Rush, and that that fits that very well. very very good like platina jazz. I think that genre is called just like concert concert ready stuff.
Yeah. Now I would like to mention that I'm not exactly the biggest fan of jazz, but despite that, I didn't mind the soundtrack. It's very good. I think it fits the show very perfectly. I wouldn't listen to this shit on its own, but you know, it's good for the show.
Honestly, like recently I've been getting into jazz, and part of the stuff that I listen to is from the bebop track, and most, if not all of these songs can be just really good on their own, but with the scenes that they are in, they're even better.
Alright, so that kind of is my first impressions. The show's good, you should watch it. Now, do you want to do episodes we didn't like first, or do you want to do good episodes that we really like?
Let's just, like, prefacing this, let's not go super fucking crazy here. There isn't a single bad episode in this entire thing, at least not from my perspective. But I'm gonna pull a freaking Doug Walker with Avatar and just say that there are some episodes that aren't as good as others.
By we mean bad episodes, we mean episodes that are like maybe a 6 out of 10.
Basically.
And a show where a lot of the episodes are 7 or 8 out of 10, as far as episode quality goes. So, like, these are episodes I'm kind of like, meh on. And of course, there's a couple episodes, there's also a bunch of episodes we're going to be talking about. But, so, Kaiser, do you want to go negative or positive first?
I say we go a little negative first.
Okay.
Because there's gonna be a lot of stuff we like from here on out.
Oh yeah. We might as well end up on a good note. So the episode that I kind of think is a bit of a hit and miss is Stray Dog Strut, which they get that what fucking dog is it? Is it a corgi or something? No, it's let me look at it right now.
Yeah, it's a corgi.
Oh, it's a Welsh corgi. Aww.
Yeah. Ein is the best boy, but his introductory episode
it's kind of meh.
It's a marked down because like after starting out with such a huge banger,
you start with drug dealing and the red eye and the Native American going about the coyote will head to the west and big wolf will, instead of that you've got who let the dogs out, woof, 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 don't copyright us YouTube, woof.
Yeah, like I said, the episode itself isn't terrible. It's just that there is a lot less content to go off of because I guess there isn't a whole lot of opportunities for interesting character interactions. There's a little bit of world building here, kind of a further establishing the syndicate and some of the stuff that they're already doing.
Oh yeah, that's great and all, and like I think the dog is cool, but like aside from that, it's just not really a fun episode. I mean, at least you like Welsh corgis.
Right. The chase scene is really good and very well animated, but the attention, but most of the animation of the episode isn't as sharp or as like awe-strucking as like the first one. So I guess it's just going from that to this is just like going from a gourmet restaurant to your local Popeyes, right?
Okay. Since I've done one of my least favorite, do you want to do yours next, or do we share the same one?
Honestly, like I feel like these three are the three that you have written out here are probably the ones that like I would say are probably the least good out of all the episodes, or at least the ones that I like didn't like. I like.
Okay, we'll do the next one. All right, so next one is Toys and the Attic. Now, I kind of viewed this almost like as a homage to the original Alien movie, because if you think about it, there's a lot of scenes. We got this thing crawling around the ship. Spike has like a flamethrower. There's like a pet that's like barking at it. Like I kind of thought to myself, is this like an homage to like Aliens or maybe some other science fiction movies? Like they can't hear you scream and shit.
I would probably say so. I don't know if there's anything to really confirm that it is, but more than likely it is, especially since pretty sure it came after Alien was created at the time.
Yeah, I think Alien came out like late.
Significant thing.
Yeah, I think Alien came out like late 70s, early 80s.
Yes.
And this came out in the 90s.
At least around the 80s.
Yeah, and also I know that Shiro Watanabe does I think it's rumored that he is a bit of a Westerbo, so I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't see this movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, you would have to be to even put in like half of the amount of detail and stuff that are in this show. I would say like the best thing about this episode compared to the one we were just talking about is the directing.
Oh yes.
I'd say directing is just probably like the biggest standout of it. Just how hollow everything's are, and like the transitions between characters as they, you know, progressively get fucked over by the alien. I mean, well, by the parasite thing. Yep. It's really cool, and it's good at setting that mood. But I would say that there's an episode that probably does that better in a way that feels less, I guess, less slow.
I get you. Shit. All right. So one of the next episode on the kind of like this list is we have Mushroom Samba, and I think maybe the director was on shrooms when directing this episode.
Yeah.
Like I'm just imagining him in a board meeting, and he's like, "Oh, dude, these mushrooms are great. The shiitake mushroom is great." He's like, one of his buddies is like, "Those are shiitake, those are shrooms," and then it's like, "Dun dun dun, Mississippi Queen" in the background. All right, okay, I got an idea. Let's direct an anime about mushrooms. What? Yeah, he's smuggling hypodermic mushrooms. Don't worry about the budget, guys. I didn't spend it on shrooms.
Right. Oh man. Now this one is probably the best of the not so best three, the trio as we would like to call them. Yeah. Because you know this is mostly just focusing on Edward and his little misadventure with these shrooms, and I will say that it's definitely, at least to me, one of the more funnier episodes because it takes a lot of inspiration from many like blaxploitation gang movies and shit. Which is very much apparent in the designs of the side characters that you're meeting up with. Like the guy that just kind of shows up in like the freaking in the town or whatever, who's about to freaking gun down this guy that allegedly like shot down his partner or brother or something. And I think he like pulls out a freaking what was it, a coffin, and he's like, "This is the coffin I'm burying your ass in."
That's a pretty Chad Alpha move.
Yeah, and then like the other dude is just like unimpressed as shit, and like Ed's just reacting with him. Oh my god, that's another, I guess, aspect of the show. Coming back to it that I really appreciated. I honestly, Ed is not as cringy as like most people would say he is. I mean, she is. Like, Ed is really funny to me.
I kind of viewed Ed as a bit eccentric, but that's basically it.
Fair enough.
I mean, listen, when you live in a fucking when you live in Earth, which is now like a complete shithole that's not going to be like fixed for yet. It's not going to repair. It's like, listen, Earth's going to be a shithole for quite a few centuries until it gets back to full strength. But it's like, you know, if you're crazy enough to live there, then you have to be some kind of eccentric.
Oh yeah, it's like Cowboy Bebop is the timeline where Char Aznable won.
Yes.
Where he got what he wanted, and everybody's in space now, or everybody's going to Mars.
Yeah, I actually have a quote. Let me go find it.
Listen, true Continentalism has never been tried.
And there came a hero who said, "Drop colonies on the earth, on the sea, on the trees, and on the very fabric of time." But the hero would not prevail, nor would he surrender.
Oh my god! Like, honestly, unironically, that sounds really cool. But like, you know, enough gushing over Tomino. Sunrise.
By the way, when are you gonna make that? I know, but when are you gonna make that Chinese rules based video?
Well, coming at some point.
Yeah, TBA at some point. Okay.
Yes.
So when it comes to the episodes I like, I do believe we have different lists.
Yeah, so we can go back and forth with this.
Okay. Since I did my negative shit first, you can do positive. You can do your first positive, and then I'll do mine.
All right, my first one. And by the way, these are in no particular order. These are just episodes that I find like really interesting and cover certain things about the series I want to talk about. So first on my list is episode 16, session 16, Black Dog Serenade. This is a Jet episode.
Ooh.
Yeah, and like the plot, you know, you already know the plot, but the plot goes is that Jet is chasing down this dude who used to be a member of the syndicate. He was chasing down when he was at first a cop, and he's just doing this, you know, like one final ride with his old partner. And I really just love and appreciate not only the attention they give to Jet's character in this aspect, because, you know, him as a space cop basically has always been established, but seeing it firsthand is really interesting. But what I find even more engaging about it has to do with like the noir aesthetics that are just like layered into his character, like taken from like take Jack out of the series. I mean, Jet out of the series. And he's basically like a protagonist of a noir novel. Right?
Yeah, like what I like about Jet and a lot of the characters in Cowboy Bebop is that, like, they're not the main character of the world. They're the main character of their own stories. Like, literally, you could take, like, they don't, like, you don't even need Bebop to make it work. You can even these characters have enough background and shit going on in the background that you can make an entire anime or maybe like a novel about it. You know, what Jet was doing, or what Faye is doing, or what was Spike doing, or what Ed was doing. Like, there's a rich background to it, and I actually like, and it's really cool how the story makes use of it. You know, this rich background and lore.
Yeah, and with this episode in particular, I really like the interactions that Jet has between himself and his partner, and the way that just kind of helps sets the tone for the rest of the episode. For example, I guess in the very beginning, when the guy is basically telling Jet that, hey, this dude we were chasing down, yeah, he broke out of jail. We gotta get him.
Yeah, old time's sake. Not for old time's sake.
Right, and they have this really cool interaction where I think went along the lines of, you know, Jet was trying to give him a cigarette, and the dude is all like, oh, I don't do that anymore. And he's like, no kidding. Yeah, 10 days. The world doesn't belong to smokers. and like, I think... and he was showing off his pistol because, like, Jet was, like, about to throw his cigarette butt away, and he's all like, hey, you're arrested for littering. Fine is 2,000 woo. And, like, he's all like, hey, you're still using that old gun? It's a waste of taxpayer money. What, on the gun? No, on your salary, dumbass. I just really love that. The voice acting really carries this very well.
Yeah, it also showcases how they know each other and shit like that. Like, they've been through enough. I mean, basically, you know, when you know people long enough, you basically fuck with them for fun. Banter and shit like that.
Honestly, that makes it even more heartbreaking when you find out that the guy was basically the one who screwed him over, who basically, like, what forced him to have the robot arm Jet has. And like, I love how the episode just, like, honestly, going by the episode's plot, you could, aside from like the last maybe like 5 minutes of it, you can conceivably think that the dude is just, you know, he's on the up and up, right? You know, it could really go either way, and I think that works towards its strength there. That just leaves a lot of room for interpretation on that front.
All right. Anything else to say about that episode?
The villain was really intimidating. I really like that.
Yeah, that's what I kind of like about some of the villains in Cowboy Bebop, is that they're actually kind of intimidating, and you can actually, like, a lot of them have pretty realistic motivations, quite a few of them, or you can understand where they're coming from, or you can understand what made them go down this path. But yeah, intimidating.
Yeah,
yes,
he was good.
Okay. So, one of my favorite episodes is Sympathy for the Devil. So, Sympathy for the Devil is a very interesting episode because it's got Spike and Jet, and they're chasing an enemy. So, this guy they're chasing, he looks like a small boy, but apparently he's 80 years old. And apparently when that space gate thing exploded, apparently he was caught in the radiation, or something about the radiation, or basically where he was specifically caused some chain reaction, and basically it stopped his time. And kind of what I like about it is that you've got this kid who wants to live and shit, you know, who wants to survive and carry out his goals and shit like that, but he's bitter, right? And he wants to die because he's just sick of being stuck as a child. No one's going to take him seriously. He'll never fall in love. You know, he'll never have children. He'll never do all these things because he's always going to be stuck physically and mentally as a child. And it's horrifying.
And you know, they used his love for the harmonica a lot, really well, to set the tone for a lot of these scenes.
Yeah, because he looks like a proper kid, but when he plays the harmonica, it's always like sad and depressed because he's an old man trapped in a young kid's body.
Yep.
Like, have you ever seen Interview with a Vampire?
I might have a very long time ago.
Okay, because basically in the movie, I'm not going to give you spoilers, but basically, you know, they basically have a child vampire. And as she, like, grows up and stuff like that, she starts falling in love with Louis, but Louis only views her as a daughter, and she's stuck as a child, and she starts, like, murdering adult women because she wants what they have. You know, she wants to be beautiful, she wants to be all this thing, and she doesn't want to be a doll. It's it's really fucked, but like, you know, it kind of reminds you of that, is that you know, she's permanently stuck as a child, and because she is permanently stuck as a child, she, like, even though she is mature in certain ways, she still has that, like, that childlike mentality.
Right. Another thing I really like about this episode is how this is a really good episode, because unlike with the, you know, main story or the vicious episodes, this is one of those episodes that actually do an interesting job at using the main conflict or villain to parallel Spike in his situation. Because a consistent theme throughout Bebop is, I guess, the finality or lack thereof in the characters' own lives. You know, they're stuck standing still in many different circumstances, which is why
you got
they
a guy
book
who's
it
literally
open.
stuck standing still.
Yeah, and then, which is why they literally just book open with Spike. You know, while the harmonica plays, hinting at Spike's robotic eye after his last run-in with the Syndicate before the story began. And you can kind of tell a little bit from the way he sort of, like, you know, interaction comes into contact with the kid, especially when after he basically, you know, put the nail in his coffin, that you can tell that, you know, he sees himself in that.
Sorry, I had to have a little cough. Yeah, this is a really good episode. So, next one on your list?
Next one on mine. Yeah, this is one of the Faye episodes. This is one of the latter ones. Speak Like a Child, episode 18.
All right.
Just generally great Faye episode. This is where we find out. Yeah, I mean, all of them are great, but this one really stands out to me. Because this is the one where we find out about Faye's past before the accident that basically just like took her out of her own time and just put her in the current one. You know, in this unfamiliar world, not really being able to trust anyone. And I like how it wasn't immediately apparent that this, you know, this whole thing was setting up for her. Because even then, the episode was still a really good, you know, sort of misadventure of Spike and Jet, just trying to find out what the hell is with the VCR and videotapes that were sent to them. And I also really like, a lot of the comedic timing is really good. Like, I like how they kind of circle back to where they are on Mars, in that lake or whatever in the city. A really good way of kind of just, you know, cycling things back without making things too... it's a good way of making things even more self-contained, which is really good. Which kind of makes things much more personal when we get that scene, you know, that last scene of the episode where Faye's just looking at that tape of her younger self, and she looks like, oh my god, I was an entirely different person, holy shit. And I that just really hits hard, man.
Well, it's also really like good. She doesn't remember as well.
No, yeah, she doesn't remember at all.
Like, she doesn't remember who she is. She didn't know that
she even made these things. Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting concept because, like, you know, who are you without your memories?
Yeah. And like, you know, all this time, Faye's kind of just been, I mean, mostly kind of self-reliant and everything. And for the most part, that's somewhat worked out for her, or at least got her by. But without the lack of memories, I suppose, she just had to make something of herself.
Yeah.
And she's being confronted with this, and you can kind of see throughout the subsequent episodes. Yeah, a ghost from her past. And you can kind of see in the subsequent episodes that, like, you know, in the back of her mind, she has this thought of like, okay, what's really going on? I wish they kind of leaned on that a little bit more in the following episodes and everything.
Yep.
But at the very least, I guess that would risk kind of overplaying things. Because it's not like this is going to entirely change Faye's personality after this.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so for my next episode, it's going to be Waltz for the Venus and Bohemian. No, not Bohemian. It's Waltz for Venus. Sorry, Waltz for Venus. I really like this episode because it really showcases it really showcases a bit of grayness to the world of how some people get involved in crime and shit. Sometimes do it for a good reason. So the main plot of this is this guy gets involved with illegal smuggling and steals a plant in order to basically get the money to pay for his sister's medical care or surgery. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I kind of like it for eye surgery. And I kind of like it for the fact that it showcases that, not everyone who gets involved in crime. I know this sounds a bit more relativist, but like it kind of showcases that some of the people who get involved in crime or do these dodgy dealings generally like have a good reason to do it.
Yeah.
Like he's literally putting himself at risk to like. Basically, if he fails, he's fucked, and so is his sister. Like he's generally trying, and I like the moment when he's like talking with Spike. And he's like, "Oh, Spike, please teach me how to fight and shit." He's trying to, I guess he's, it's actually funny because, like, Spike, if you know his backstory, would be the last person you probably want to try and befriend if he was that way. But,
yeah.
I just thought it was a really cool episode, and I kind of like, Spike, tried to help this guy, and he actually, because I remember correctly, Spike delivered her the plant or, like, sold it and gave her the money, right?
Yeah, I think he delivered the plan and everything, and basically, gave her everything she needed in order to get the surgery. But like, she, he knows that her brother died, and I love how the episode didn't shy away from telling her about that, or her being super bitter about it, which makes things all the more, kind of tragic. Because this guy,
and I also like it, when Spike is like, "Oh God, I should stay, but I can't."
Yeah.
Like, you get the feeling that Spike wanted to help more, but he can't. Like, he's like, "I'm sorry, I did my best."
Right, yeah, you kind of get the sense that, like, this is another episode that kind of parallels his own situation really well. Because, like, this guy, Spike's also just kind of trying to escape from all the things that he was doing. But I guess the dude he was helping wasn't as, lucky compared to him. Well, lucky in air quotes, because this kind of depends on, Spike's interpretation, which I don't think he even counts himself as lucky in that sense. But he probably sees that the dude has a lot more opportunity, at least, to just fix himself. But that just didn't really happen.
Yeah, sadly.
And you see that as like
tragically it didn't happen.
Yeah, and I just kind of love the sort of how the episode ends with all of those, with all those, I think those are like flower petals or something, kind of falling down or something. And it's like really good, and the soundtrack just closes things out really well.
All right, so your next episode?
The last episode I'm going to bring up is episode 20, Pierrot Le Fou. This is where this is probably like one of the best designed villains in the series, the Mad Pierrot.
Oh yeah, the clown guy. I was umming and ahhing if I didn't like that episode, but thinking about it, I thought it was like a decent episode for how just intimidating this guy is.
Oh yeah, and it has probably, like, in terms of directing, this is probably like top 5 in the series. Like, legitimately, I rewatched it before this recording. It's incredible how good this is. Like, I'm not much of an expert on animation, but it's incredible. It manages to make this, like, conceptually really goofy and wacky character that might seem very out of place in the show, and make him feel like very weirdly grounded. And tragic. And fucking terrifying.
And tragic.
Which makes it, and tragic, which makes things even better. Also helped by just, like, the eerie soundtrack that it has. Like, it feels like something that, just hearing the soundtrack in the episode, it feels like something that you would see in, like, the Saw movies, or even some of the, the Michael Myers movies and stuff like that, if they were made in the modern day. And it's just really good. The set design is fucking orgasmic.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
for example,
the amusement park.
Yeah, not even at the theme park. Like, even before that, like the first 5 or 10 minutes of the episode, when you're just in those alleyways in that city, like, there's a lot of good uses of, like, dim light yellows and blacks and thick ink lining on the characters' expressions, especially the Mad Pierrots when he's shooting at Spike. Like, you fucking feel how, like, weirdly and like elated he is to just wreck shop and everything. And you see how fucking terrified Spike is and how desperate he is to try to get out of this dude's way. And, like, everything in regards to the theme park is just high energy, because the dude just keeps on coming, and just pulling out all these weapons, and you can't even kill them, which makes it more satisfying when they actually do get some, like, moments of peace. And even Spike is all like, when he's about to fight him again, he's like, God damn, I don't know if I'm gonna come back from this one. Granted, I feel like what probably would have made that better is if maybe he, I don't know, brought an Uzi with him instead with just his gun. I don't know.
I don't know, maybe a heavy machine gun or maybe an assault rifle would have been useful.
I feel like those would have helped. Like, if he was at least half as strapped as he was in the Toys in the Yak episode, then, like, he might have an easier time, I would say. But
yeah.
Who knows?
Okay, so this is the last favorite. We're gonna cover these. Because there's a bunch of episodes we're gonna cover, like Vicious and Faye and shit. So my last favorite is Bohemian Rhapsody. So the main plot of Bohemian Rhapsody is basically, so one of the guys that so in Cowboy Bebop you have these space skates that help you like teleport, like they basically help space travel make space travel more easier, they help you travel to more distant planets more. So one of the guys who was behind that shit, basically 50 years later after the fact is apparently planning these, robberies and all this crime, against the company that fucked him over. And I do believe that he was the guy that invented the big Hypergate thing that blew up and caused that kid to, stop aging and destroy the Earth. So, this is a guy who's pretty integral to the world of Cowboy Bebop. Like, this is a guy who, he's a major deal. And apparently he's back for vengeance against the company that screwed him over, apparently. Because the company, we find out that the company was actually responsible for dishing out a faulty product, apparently. Apparently the warp gate was unstable, and apparently the scientist guy, he wanted to say, like, wait a minute, there's a few miscalculations, let me go fix that, but the company's like, nah. And apparently 50 years, he's back for revenge. And what I really like about this episode is that you find out that he's just a senile old man now, because 50 years is a long time, and apparently this guy was so intelligent that he planned his vengeance even beyond his death.
Yeah, and the best part is that, like, at the end, like, he basically wins. He basically gets to do it, gets what he wants, spend the rest of his days just playing chess, and the company still gets screwed over despite this.
Yeah, and I really like about it is that, like, through that episode, you got Ed fighting someone on chess, and it's like, wait, it's the same game? Like, you have these two, like, hyper geniuses, like, duking it out in this, like, chess game, and, like, that's fucking amazing.
It's honestly really fantastic. I really like it.
And I just like the idea of, like, this guy who, in his 50s or, like, in his mid-age got fucked over. And he was so intelligent, so high in forethought that basically, even if he had died, this plan was still gone through. That even if he had died, say, 20 years or 10 years later after him getting canned and shit, that this plan would have still gotten off and he would have had the last laugh. I mean, that is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And I also like how they, freaking utilize the three old guys that we got introduced to since the very first episode.
Oh yeah, because they know this guy.
Yeah, all just chilling up in that freaking that abandoned colony or whatever, and they're just chilling out, smoking pot, doing their thing.
Yeah, and I like it how, like, the other bounty hunter guy is walking in, like, he's expecting this decrepit, Hex, Hannibal Lecter type, smart, like, he's got 20 plans, but no, it's just a senile guy playing chess.
Yep.
I mean, you can call it a bit anticlimactic, but I also like it on the idea, like, that's how smart this guy was, that even if he would lose all his fucking marbles, this plan would still go off without a hitch.
Yep.
And he basically wins. Like, as you said, he basically wins. Company gets fucked over, and he gets to play chess with Ed all week. So...
Yes.
And by the way, he dies undefeated, because at the final end of the panel, he dies.
Yeah. Yep. He dies, basically getting everything he wanted.
Yeah. Undefeated chess champion.
Yes. Which, honestly, that guy probably had the happiest ending of almost any of the characters in the series.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Yeah, he got everything he wanted. He's undefeated. He fucked over the company that fucked him over. And it's just like...
He had the best game in his life.
Yeah, he dies happy.
Yeah.
At the ripe old age of, like, 90-something or something. Yeah, he was, like, 90.
Yeah, right, yeah, he's around his fucking 90s, dude.
90s to 100s. Like, the dude's old. Yeah,
he's chilling up there with Betty White.
Yeah.
May she rest in peace.
Yes, may she rest in peace. Yeah, I just like that episode, just kind of like, it's just amazing, and it kind of reminds me of, like, a vampire character, you play Vampire the Masquerade, and you're just, like, running this plan that like, it takes years to actually fully pay off, and when it pays off, it's like, oh, yeah, I did that. All that years of planning finally paid off. Now, as we continue, so, do you want to do the Vicious episodes or the Faye episodes next?
I guess we can talk a bit about the Faye episodes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say that, like, the first Faye couple of first episodes of Faye, I didn't really particularly like them. But as we learn more about, like, her backstory and shit like that, I actually got to like her more and understand why she did the things she did. Like, it's so fucked up and tragic that she basically wakes up in a world and no one knows her. Because all her family are dead.
Yeah, basically. And then, like, she's just in, like, an era of the world where, like, so many things are, like, largely different from how it was. And she has no context for any of it. She barely has any memory of her past life at all.
Yeah, because she's from, like, this is, like, 50 years in the future. Like, when she was a child, all the shit was, like, you know, in the beginning stages. And now she, like, wakes up on a fucking planet and these, like, planets have been, like, colonized and shit like that. She's like, and her home of the planet Earth is a shithole.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, it's like me, like, being hit by a car today, waking up in a coma 50 years in the future, and everything is, like, fucking different. Like, all my friends are dead, my family's dead, and I'm like, fuck, I have nothing.
Yeah, and nothing but a shit ton of debt.
Apparently, yeah.
And another now, my opinion on all the Faye episodes are slightly different because honestly, I really liked even her introductory episodes. I thought they were really fun.
I just didn't like her as a character. I just didn't really particularly like her as a character. Like, I've got very mixed thoughts on, like, the femme fatale type.
Okay.
As I went further on, I don't think she's bad. It's just, like, the first episode, I didn't have a great impression of her. But, like, for what she is, for the character she represents, I think she's great.
Yeah. I totally understand. I guess I just had an easier time just kind of jiving with it because, again, the performances, like, the dialogue that is written for these characters throughout the series, and the performances of the characters just really help sell their personalities really well. For example, you kind of have this part, and I think in her introductory episode where they, handcuff her into the bathroom, and the way she's giving her attitude. I forgot what exactly she says, but I remember that interaction with, like, her, Spike, and Jet being really fun, and doing a good job at setting the tone for their dynamic throughout the series from then on.
Yeah, I would say I actually quite like Faye's dynamic in the team.
Mm-hmm.
She's great.
Yeah, I also like the ending fight scene of her first introductory episode. That was really good. Like, she freaking slingshots around that fucking missile.
That was great. Sorry, I'm just eating something.
Sure.
I would like to say that the last two Faye episodes, one with the scammer and the one where she, finds out about her past, I think were great, just directing-wise and stuff.
Yes.
Because I like the scene of how the scamming guy basically says, like, even though I lied to you, there was one thing that was true. I did fall in love with Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah. And it's a little bit debatable whether or not he actually meant that. But getting a bit more context in regards to her past just kind of makes things even better for her. Contributes to the sort of larger themes of, like, the passage of time, or even the lack thereof within the series for a lot of these characters.
Yeah, it's great. And I just love the episode where she finds out where her old house is. She walks up to it, and it's basically just gone. And I really like the scene is where we come back to the scene again. It's a pan shot, right? And we see, like, the outlines of the house drawn out, and she's, like, just sitting in it, sitting there, staring at the sun.
Right. Probably in the area where her room probably was.
Yeah.
Just seeing her just aimless, just kind of vibing and wondering, really.
Yeah.
And it just makes things even more tragic and enjoyable.
Because what's really tragic is there's not even, like, a ruined house there, or, like, an actual house, that's abandoned. No, it's just it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives you the idea of, like, what happened to her family. Did they all die? Did they fuck off and leave? Like, what happened to them?
Yeah, were there, like, other relatives of hers that probably know what happened or still around? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Honestly, it'd be interesting to kind of see if, like, Watanabe would ever, like, consider making, like, light novels, for some of the characters, chronicling some events after the main series ended, or even some side stories that take place. Yeah, because
honestly, if Faye's family was rich, because we're assuming they're rich because they had a mansion, if they're rich, like, you've got to think that they've got to have relatives. Like, big rich families like that generally have a lot of members of the family because it adds to the collective pot and shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't deny that, but even in regards to could this possibly add to the story? I mean, add to Faye's character is something that could be really interesting, especially taking in the light novel format. I would think. Maybe it's actually interesting if like Faye even like thought of doing that. Possibly like after Spike had Spike had made his like made his last stand in the last episode. Spoilers for like an almost 30-year-old series, I guess.
Yeah, we had Bang.
But yeah, when Bang.
There's something a meme is like, hey, you can't have heroic last stand. And it's like, ha ha, gun go Bang.
Oh man, it's really like I would think that maybe she thought maybe like Spike, maybe this is time that I should probably like face this part of my past so that maybe I can at least make things a little bit better for myself.
Or
yeah,
it could be like it could be a mix of like a freeloader, or it could be like, oh my god, you're the lost member of our family, you're alive.
Yeah, I will say, like, I'm not saying that like she should just like immediately go back to them, leave Jet on his own or whatever, because like part of the significance of her story is knowing that the Bebop is her home.
Yep.
What I'm saying is maybe like have a visit or two over there, get to know these people, and then just kind of leave a bit more fulfilled and like at least happy with her life as a bounty hunter. Just kind of keep doing her thing.
Yeah, and also she'll know that if the family, like, say she's got members, let's say she's got members that are still alive of her family and they accept her. It's like she's always got a place to go.
Yeah, and I think that would be really interesting. And seeing what Jack would be up. I mean, not Jack. Jet would be up to after the story ends would be interesting as well. But yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of like things I could really say about the Faye episodes. That honestly I wouldn't really be able to add this much already. They are just generally really really good standouts, especially the latter.
Like that whole Faye arc is just fucking amazing. Now,
yes.
Now, before we were talking about villains who are intimidating, we're gonna get to the Vicious episodes, and holy fuck, Vicious is cool.
Yes, Vicious is cool, and the way they just kind of set him up is really good too.
This dude is just oozing with style, but he's also so fucking intimidating.
Yeah, sorry, I had a swig of water, but like, yeah, the dude is fantastic. Like it's kind of weird how they managed to make this guy who is very enigmatic and who we barely really gotten to know about feel weirdly so lived in and alive
and intimidating, because like we get a bit of a flashback of his past. Like, he was actually involved in a war on Titan. He sold that guy out. He works the Syndicate.
Gren.
Yeah, Gren. He works the Syndicate. Like, there's a lot of context we don't get about his character, but for what we do get, you get the impression that this is one scary motherfucking guy. This dude is terrifying.
Yeah.
His introduction episode is him walking up to the dude and basically, quick drawing him.
Yep.
No fucks given. Just walks in, kills this guy, and then walks out. No explanation.
Oh, yeah.
No explanation, no elaboration, just walks out.
These episodes are the ones that they also just, like, go balls out on the freaking budget. Like, the Ballad of Fallen Angels especially. The entire beginning, even up to the very end of that episode, like, frame one, the frame, whatever the fuck ends the episode off, it is fantastically well designed.
Yep.
And a lot of like his relation to Spike is really good because Spike and Julia throughout the series, I feel like what really helps kind of mitigate the fact that both of them are barely characters of their own and are more so used as devices for Spike is that it kind of puts us a lot in Spike's shoes, right? Yeah. Because at this point in the series, at this point in his life,
he's done with the crime shit.
Yeah, these two people are kind of like, two figments of a dream. Ideal.
Yeah, but like Vicious is who Spike would become if he stayed in the Syndicate, and Julia is the dream of a new life.
Yeah. Which just makes it even more engaging when these episodes happen, because like here's the thing, both of these characters only like show up and get mentioned in these like 5 episodes. And every single time, it's like a fucking event, right? It's a banger every single time.
Yeah, you got the shit with Gwen, you've got the fucking Syndicate doing shit, and then you've got Bang himself, their final duel, which, honestly, their final duel reminds me of, like, fucking Dante and Virgil from Devil May Cry, like, Spike's the gun guy and Vicious the sword guy, and they're, like, duking it out.
Basically. And I love how they don't, like, like super drag out the fight scenes either. They make it very impactful and they hit really hard. I really like, probably my personal favorite parts of the whole plot line though is definitely the Jupiter Jazz ones.
Okay. My favorite was Jupiter Jane is Gwen. Yeah. I like the first episode that Vicious was introduced, Gwen, and the final episode which was Bang.
Yeah. But I really like part of why I really like the Jupiter Jazz episodes is especially part 2 is the way that they just kind of showcase Gren's story as you described it earlier, and when they brought in that song and at the end of it when Gren is trying to shoot down Vicious and Spike and everything, they have that dog fight in the air, and while Words That We Couldn't Say plays in the background, that was really, really good. It fits a lot of the like blue hues and depressing atmosphere of the entire
because this is a guy who viewed Vicious as a friend, and Vicious sold him out, got him, and this guy was experimented upon, and he doesn't have much time left either.
Yeah, it's almost like, these 2 episodes are so good that they shouldn't be fixed, Netflix.
Okay, what did Netflix do?
Oh my god. I look,
I'm not. On a scale of 1 to 10, how high is the fuckery?
20.
Jesus Christ. Okay, all right. Well, that's confirmation.
Like they basically not to be super hyperbolic, but they took Gren's story and the character and just kind of diluted them so fucking hard into basically the metrosexual like stereotype, and that's about it from what I've heard anyways.
Wow.
I'm very much willing to be wrong, but every single intelligent human being that I know who has covered Netflix Bebop all say the same fucking thing.
Wow.
Oh my god, is terrible. Like, how did they honestly it just kind of goes to show just the lack of an actual like philosophy there is.
I think it showcases like an absolute I also think it shows a disrespect to the source material as well.
Yeah, even more than that, because like like Gren's story was one that is definitely worth having and worth facilitating in real life, because Bebop is one of the very few shows, very few anime in general that could theoretically work in live action. And guess what? So were Ghost in the Shell and Death Note, and guess what? They fucked those up too. So I guess we're
honestly, I really think it's like a disrespect to. I'm not gonna say any conspiracy theory shit, but I really think that a lot of these directors don't actually respect. They kind of view anime and manga as like a lower art form.
But they don't give a shit, man. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's basically confirmed at this.
Yeah, honestly,
do not care.
These people do not care. And honestly, it's actually a real shame, because they're fucking. It's a stereotype. It's like anime, meh. It's that shit. Like,
this shit is for kids,
Yeah, everything is for kids. Anything animated is for kids, including Nekopara. Yeah, every porn game is for kids because it's animated. All that mindset. Look. I shit. The BBC once said, but because it's animated, it's clearly targeted at young people, and that was for like Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything about that, but like
it's the BBC British taxpayer money, folks, in action. Anyway, does anything you guys want to talk about, or should we just talk about the final episode, which is just amazing?
I feel like the final episode is where we should end things off on, because it is fucking great.
Okay, You want to talk about it, like, listen, usually there's some shows where, like, the beginning's kind of bad, the ending's great, or the beginning is good and the ending's bad. Bebop's beginning and ending episode is just fucking it's amazing.
Yeah.
I could probably spend an hour here talking about the last episode, but the last episode is fucking great. It is everything I expected, and the ending is just amazing. It's just...
Yes. The Real Folk Blues parts 1 and 2 are absolutely fantastic. A standout part of it
Yeah, let's talk about the build-up. Basically, Spike, he's got some shit to take care of. And I like the drama of where, like, the people on the Bebop don't want him to leave, but he's like, I'm sorry, I've got to leave, and I may not actually come back from this one. And I also like it how, like, you know, I think it was on the deck or something, you just see Faye staring out at the stars and, like, almost, like, depressed because she knows deep down that Spike's not going to come back.
Yeah.
Like, even the Native American man says, you know, the big wolf ain't coming back, buddy. It's his last hoedown.
Right. and like I really like how sort of the episode pretty much starts, like, you know, and it was right after the episode where Faye and Ed leave the Bebop and everything, which kind of just is like a clear sign that, okay, shit is ramping up. So in the beginning of the episode, we just start with Spike and Jet sitting down in a bar, just kind of ruminating over things and drinking, where all of a sudden, fucking syndicate assholes, they mean business, start lighting that place up like a fucking Christmas tree. And shit is getting real. They're getting injured. Jet can barely move out of there. And, you know, Spike and him got out of there by the skin of their asses. Because the syndicate, hey, they got Vicious in prison, and we're cutting out loose ends, so we're taking care of y'all. But then, especially, I forgot about this part when I originally watched it, but I really like the scene where Vicious just fucking breaks out.
Yes. Yeah, the bird.
Kills those old guys.
Yeah, so in case you don't know, Syndicate had, like, Vicious has a bird with him, and apparently it was stuff with explosives, and he basically had it blow up.
Yeah.
To break him out of prison. He blew up his pet to break him out of prison. No elaboration, no explanation, he just does it.
Yep. Oh yeah, because Vicious is a guy who just does not give a fuck. He cares about only what he wants to do. And like, he is a man of action. When he thinks about something, he's already done it, right? And like, he just demolishes these old guys. You know, his crew is coming in already doing the coup d'etat. He's the leader now. And the way that whole thing is set, and the brutality of what him just cutting them down was really good. But also in regards to, like, you know, we actually get to meet Julia, and we see the context of Spike's past and everything.
Yeah.
And that was really good.
Yeah. And then we get to part two, where basically Julia dies, Spike sieges the base of Syndicate. He has one more final duel with Vicious.
Yep.
And then badly wounded.
Scarface shit.
Yeah, Scarface shit. He walks out of the building, badly wounded, bunch of Syndicate guys in front of him, pulls a handgun out, bang, and falls to the ground.
Well, he doesn't even pull out a handgun. He just, like,
I said finger gun.
Pulls out his finger.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, finger gun. Not handgun.
Yeah, and he says, I misspoke. He says finger gun, and he goes bang, and then dies.
Yeah. Oh my god. And then the last song that kind of just cuts out after that, I think it's called Blue, and it's just so fucking good. It really makes things. Well, I guess before that is the Space Lion song, which the beginning of it has been, you know, with the saxophone, has been used, like, very sparingly throughout the series. And I think it almost only shows up in Spike's and, you know, Vicious episodes. Which kind of just makes it even more climactic when we hear the whole thing. And we get a lot of this, you know, lots of Native American inspired sort of instruments being used.
It's great.
Symbolizing, you know, the end of his life.
Yeah, I think the Native American guy says, you know, when one star blows up, another will be born in its place.
I'm not sure if he said that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
He said something on those lines. It's been a couple of days, and I've been busy, so...
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I understand. And, like, honestly, there's nothing about the finale that I don't dislike. The only two things that I find kind of weird is, like, one, there's the brother of that guy from Jupiter Jazz that also shows up for whatever reason that never really gotten, like, foreshadowed before, and it just feels really...
Yeah, he just kind of shows up, no elaboration, no explanation, just shows up.
Yeah, they both kind of do. And the second thing that is a little bit weird is that, like, the top of the you know the part where the top of the building freaking explodes before Vicious and Spike had their duel.
Yeah.
I have no idea why or how that even happened. Like, I rewatched the episode several times when I rewatched the series recently. And, like, Spike only planted the bombs, like, probably right before he got into that floor. There's no reason for the explosion.
I don't know, maybe Vicious was going to do some remodeling. You know, he wanted some dramatic lighting.
Maybe. It is true, maybe.
He's like, oh, fuck it, there's explosions. I might as well just do some remodeling myself. You know, I want to rebuild this place. I'm going to have the moonlight shine in so it looks really cool and I'm, like, killing Spike. I don't know, maybe he wanted to get, like, make it, like, set the mood.
Oh, yeah. When you put it like that, I got no complaints aside from those.
Yeah.
But other than that, the ending is just a perfect end to the series.
Perfect wrap up. He dies, bang, and that's it. Cowboy Bebop is great.
If you people haven't watched it, what the fuck are you doing here? Watch that shit. And the movie's great, but we can talk about the movie a different time.
I have not seen the movie.
You should definitely watch it. The movie's
and actually,
great.
since we're talking about like space western shit, do you want to do the other two in the trilogy, which is Outlaw Star or Trigun?
Maybe at some point. I have never even gotten to watch all of Outlaw Star from beginning to end.
Okay.
It would be interesting to do so, but
Outlaw Star is cool. The ships have arms and they shoot each other and hit each other with swords.
Oh yeah.
Okay, have you at least seen Trigun?
Yes, I've seen it twice.
Yeah, but I've got at some point we should do a video about it together. But any closing thoughts about Cowboy Bebop, or should we end it here?
Closing thoughts. Bebop good. If you haven't seen it, just go out and watch it. What the fuck are you doing here?
Watch the Bebop. Watch the Bebop.
Yeah, what are you gonna what are you gonna do? What wait until the second season of Bop Flicks that's never gonna come out?
And got cancelled.
Yeah, yo.
It tanked so bad it got cancelled. Not even fucking Netflix's money could keep it going.
The people and their wallets have spoken. Finally, public opinion is actually useful.
Yes, a useful tool for getting what I want. Anyway, this is Bio Gundam. See you guys later, and we'll see Kaiser Shounen again probably for another video at some point. Sign out for
see you around.
Yep, see you around. Bye bye.